And so there's good news about the economy out there. It turns out the economy shrank by 1.9% in the first quarter of 2009. And what's good about that is that it isn't shrinking faster than that. So when we hear people talk about these things, we can really think about the calculus and the rate of change. What they're really saying is the rate of change, in other words, the rate of decrease, is decreasing. So the rate of change becomes an issue. And of course, this is something that's happening right now. What we're seeing is swine flu breaking out everywhere. And it looks like pigs can fly, or at least pig flu can fly, because the rate of change, of course, closely resembles that exponential growth model. Okay? In other words, swine flu is spreading in proportion to itself. As the number of cases increases, they in turn go on to increase the number of infections. And so we end up with this exponential relationship when swine flu breaks out. And we're seeing it now. Now, the Center for Disease Control and governments, of course, are going to try and affect this model. They're going to try and change this value of M in that model by doing things like asking people not to fly, closing down schools, and taking all sorts of hygiene measures to try and control that outbreak by looking directly at that rate of change model. So, as you can see, if this exponential model were to hold, the rate of change is going to increase with time. I have a few questions for you to answer about the rate of change. And we're going to be actually looking at our guest lecturer, Hans Rosling from Sweden, and his discussion about how populations change. But before we get to that, I have a few questions for you to answer. I have 4 graphs for you to try and describe in terms of their rate of change. I don't want you to just talk about the rate of change. I also want you to talk about the rate of change of the rate of change. So have a look at those graphs and see if you can make sense of that question. And so in Hans Rosling's lectures, he divides his charts up into a hockey arena ultimately. Where in that hockey arena are populations growing the fastest? Is it the bottom right corner? Is it the top left corner? Is it the middle? Where do you think populations are growing the fastest in that hockey arena? And the final question deals with the populations of the countries that Hans Rosling is talking about. And so he was looking at Sweden, Chile, and Tanzania. What is happening to the rate of change of the populations of those countries in the periods that he examines? Okay, this is a fairly complicated question, so take some time, think about it, and give a good posting.